If you're a person who's on the fence, you're like, maybe Donald Trump's not a bad guy. And then you Google him, and then you start reading some of these like pieces that they've written about him. It'll change your perspective.
You really think she's going to win?
It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. You know, that so everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
He's 1,000% true. He's 1,000% accurate with what he's saying. 1,000%. When Biden was in office, right? When Biden was in office, well, he's still in office technically, but when Biden was on the scene, for the past couple years since Biden got in office, everybody has been saying that Kamala Harris has been basically null and void. She's been nowhere to be found. She's been absent. She's been vacant, right? She hasn't been a presence. She has not been a presence or a factor in anything. Can we keep it a buck? He's absolutely right. Biden said that he was giving her the problem with the borders, right? He was handing that problem over to her. She was supposed to take charge of it. She was supposed to get control of all the illegal immigrants coming over here and the immigrants and the migrant situation that's happening in New York and everywhere else. She was supposed to have that. She was supposed to lead the charge and coming up with a solution for that problem. Well, now we see what the solution was. It was just let them come over here and do whatever. Do what the hell ever. Because they over here. And they're doing what the hell ever. They're taking up jobs. Some of them I've seen in the news more often than not, killing people. Everybody, all the migrants didn't come over here. Everybody didn't come over here for an opportunity, for a job opportunity. Everybody did not come over here for a job opportunity. Some of them came over here with ill intent. But let's continue.
Ta-da!
Okay, you've got.
Do you think they have her medicated? Because there was a guy that was speculating that some of the things that she says, the way she's sort of disconnected sometimes, and
I don't
she
know
goes
what,
on these rambles, that it's
I don't
indicative of certain anti-anxiety medication. I do not know if this is true. See if you can find that, because really that shouldn't say that about our future president.
Yeah,
She's going to win.
They've been doing this live for years. So in 2019, our pal Tulsi absolutely nuked her in that second debate. And if you looked at charts at the time, she's kind of, Officer Harris is like doing okay. First debate she comes out, Joe Biden, you're a racist. The Democrats were looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders that wasn't Biden. She starts going up in the polls, right? Second debate comes out, Tulsi, being a good Hawaiian, knows how to roast a pig, just completely slams her. Not only that, she has no counterpunch. She goes on Anderson Cooper and she's like, well, I'm a top tier candidate, so of course people are going to take shots at me. That's her answer. She immediately starts going down in the polls. It's that day. You can see it on the chart I have on my Twitter. All the articles at the time that did an autopsy on Kamala Harris's failed campaign didn't mention Tulsi once.
Yeah.
It was BBC, LA Times, Reuters, New Yorker. A guy from the Washington Post just did a piece looking back on her campaign, didn't mention Tulsi either. They completely pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it just shows you that what they're looking for is not what they say they're looking for.
Yes.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit, so she got to see people blown up by the war. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. All those things you want.
But
and yet you don't want her.
Because she's not for war.
Yes. Well, she's also just not willing to play ball. There's a game that's being played. And if you're like, hey, you're not supposed to fucking move the ball. Like, oh, look at this bitch over here. Like, get out of here. You gotta fuck up our game. It's not real democracy. It's controlled parties.
MSNBC was exposed today for yet another set of lies. They deceptively edited together this video of different Joe Rogan comments to make it appear that he was singing the praises of Kamala Harris.
She's gonna win.
No, she's not.
She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. So she was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
This is not reflective at all of the truth of what Joe Rogan said. And I think MSNBC has since taken this post down. But what's really serious here is that not only does Joe Rogan deserve an apology, there's actually something far bigger at stake here. This is yet another example of how MSNBC is working hand in glove with the Democrat elite and the Kamala Harris campaign to try to spread lies, simply things that are not true. So what this means is MSNBC is a for-profit corporation. They are helping Kamala Harris's election campaign, and what they are doing through their platform would qualify as an in-kind contribution to her campaign. It's worth a lot of money. The fact that they are doing this should require the Federal Elections Commission that manages campaign spending and campaign finance, require them to report this as an in-kind campaign contribution or to be punished for abusing their position in trying to use their platform that has nothing to do with journalism. It is purely a propaganda platform, and that they are using this in order to try to help Kamala Harris get elected.
Yeah. The Joe Rogan situation is crazy. I'm just now finding out about it. I guess I've been, I don't know, in the dark, maybe in a hole somewhere. But I'm just now finding out about it. But listen, the Joe Rogan situation, which is what you just saw, basically MSNBC took what he said from his podcast, right? And they aren't the first one to do this. Other people do it all the time. But the problem is you are a huge media company with a ton of influence on the community. That's the problem. That's the difference here. So they took what he said from his podcast, clipped it up, right? They cut it up, and then they redistributed it in a manner to where it seems as though Joe Rogan is publicly petitioning for the election of Kamala Harris. And let me tell you how dangerous that shit is. It's a reason why they tell you not to get involved in politics. It's the reason they tell you that when you get hired on a job, there's 3 things you don't discuss: family, politics, right? And anything sexual. There's a reason for that. It's because politics is one of the dirtiest games in the entire world, and the lengths that people, organizations, and companies are willing to go to and go through in order to see the person that they want to sit in that chair elected is absolutely insane. It's crazy how they took his likeness and took his words and cut it up and clipped it up. I mean, I've seen this happen to other people. I just never would have thought that a company like MSNBC would go that low. I never thought that somebody there would actually give the order to go ahead and clip up what he said and to redistribute it as if it's some type of campaign for you to vote for Kamala Harris and that she has Joe Rogan's support. That is absolute. Listen, I would fire whoever it was that came up with that idea. Forthwith, you got to get gone. You put not only my company at brand, but now Joe Rogan has decided that he wants to sue. Here we go. Joe Rogan sues MSNBC over deceptive Kamala Harris video. Joe Rogan is reportedly suing MSNBC for $30 million, alleging that the network deceptively edited an episode of his podcast to falsely imply that he endorsed Kamala Harris for the upcoming U.S. presidential election. Now, one of the main problems that I see with this is that he's going to have to prove that they in some way damaged his reputation or somehow his brand was affected by this. Especially for $30 million. That's a hell of a lot of money. But listen, I don't make that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money. I'm pretty sure that whoever Joe Rogan has, his lawyer team, has told him and advised him on this. So I'm pretty sure if he's suing for $30 million, they probably think that he can at least get 15, right? So the bigger point for me is the games that these companies will play, the games that the media will play to enhance or to influence voter discretion or voters at the polls. It is absolutely insane. This is why people tell you never get involved with politics, never include politics in your channel, etc. Because there's so much that goes on and goes with this. People getting paid off, right? People getting paid behind the scenes. Because at this point, you couldn't convince me that MSNBC didn't take some type of payment from Kamala. They're obviously on the Democratic side, right? That's got to be blatantly obvious to anybody looking at this. So they're obviously for the Democrats, but to take someone's voice, to take someone's words, and then to clip it up and put it in a way to where it's supporting a presidential candidate, that's major, especially for when you're using a person that has a mass appeal like Joe Rogan, who's been like the number one podcaster for the last, I don't know, however many years. Got a huge bag for it, multi-million-dollar podcast that he's hosting over there. So this is a dangerous situation, and it just goes to show you that you can't believe everything you see, because I watched that video, and I also looked at the likes and comments in it, and people were like, yeah, Joe Rogan, yeah, Joe, this is what I'm talking about. And they actually thought that Joe Rogan was endorsing Kamala Harris when what he was saying was to the opposite. But listen, y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments. I'm not going to make this video too long. I just wanted to point this out. That's very dangerous getting into politics. And you got to watch out for these companies and media personalities. And you got to know who it is that you're supporting. And you got to take everything with a grain of salt at this level, because at this point, everybody's doing whatever they can in order to win over your vote. But I'll see y'all in the next one.